Welcome back to our the fourth, the final game of the Awesome Premier League at Lovely Blue. At least up today. We got some more coming for you guys soon. This is the last one for today. I am a little fuzzy seal, joined here by Moses. We finally got our tech issues resolved. The server was able to have the start button pressed, and now we're here in game. How do you like the games today, Moses?
They've been good. I mean, aside from a few ill-fated water strategies in the last game, we've seen all three games feature decent action all the way through the mid and late game. Very interested to see how teams are kind of approaching Erangel now that it's
Mhm.
been revealed to be the primary competitive map, at least for the foreseeable future. So we'll see if teams like Totality can compound their success, or if the little lull in action might have taken the wind out of their sails. But we've seen some new teams at the top here. We have Pecadores has been doing quite well. Duel taking a win and then a
Mhm.
very close game last game as well. Ultimately, lots of good action. Hey, look, a water jug.
Huh?
Good find.
I was gonna bring something up, but like I'm just completely
What is
flabbergasted
it?
right now at
Like,
this
is that a
floating
map
water
asset?
jug.
Like, what is that? Like, why is
It,
that? Where did it come from? How did it get there?
it
I've
was
never even
probably
seen one
supposed to
of
be
those.
attached to the building below it, but I don't. It's definitely not an item, right? It's like a flask of some sort.
Yeah, it's a canteen. It's
I don't
just
know. Like,
chilling in the air.
does it have collision? Like, if I drive a bike into it, what happens? Like,
You probably
these are
explode.
questions
No, in
I
this game,
have. Can
you'd
I get
probably
stuck
explode.
on it with my parachute?
Yeah, you never want to have a
Uh,
canteen ruin your game. So fairly neutral playing path, north to south. Lots of
mhm.
options here for teams. Might see a little bit of military action here as well. Lots of concentration in the middle of the map.
Oh yeah, actually, two guys going over to the Kameshki area as well. Rectify's squad as well as Moody. It looks like that they will be spreading out from each other. I'm a little bit worried about solid FPS, but he should be fine as long as he finds a car. We've got a couple of guys dropping in Severny as well, though, and it looks like something to keep an eye out for is which of the cities, if any, will be contested along this flight plan. I think we're already seeing right now a couple of guys flying in over the Severny area, but once again, we're seeing Optic contest Squad 18 here in the apartments. Will it work out for this time, though, is the question, Moses.
Well, Optic refusing to give up this area. They're kind of standing their ground. Tunican receiving a little bit of pressure here. It looks like from 17, who's found himself an M16. So it's a bit of a mishmash of trades here, as both Kickstart and company have been battling with Optic for this apartment
Mhm.
area.
And the really awkward part about Tunican Kickstar's position as well is that they have two guys both living in the same apartment building, whereas the rest of Squad 14 has been able to live, two apartment buildings. Since then, most members of Optic have all taken the neighboring apartment building to just sort be ready for a fight if it breaks out. But they're gonna have more loot than Squad 14 than Kickstart and his friends. That being said, other places on the map that are spicy looking like Watertown has both Noble and Tease in it. Noble showing up very, very late, it looks like, retreating from the school of Rozak area. And if Teason spots this, which it looks like Bulba might have, then they could be in for a lot of trouble. That being said, Bulba has got a backpack and a shotgun on. And they got the style of looking like they want to shoot someone off their lawn, which are looking like Noble is taking the hit right now and retreating west.
Absolutely. Now, Noble Watertown in general is a very tough loot. A lot of jumping around, trying to get around, navigating this area. Edak has nothing on him, so he's just gonna have to run
Oh
around.
goodness.
So it looks like Noble's just gonna get chased out here. I don't. Noble is off to a terrible start. Only a shotgun on natural there. Boom, without any weapon. Godspeed. Neither. They're gonna have to roll over to the ruins and try their luck there. Also a tough place to loot. So Noble in a rough spot here early in this game.
Yep. And also, just talk about the circle. We haven't talked about this one yet. The flight plan was favoring the eastern quadrant of Erangel. A lot of squads to move into the new light are gonna need to do a good extra transitioning to get in there. Meanwhile, looking here in this northernmost apartment building, it's like Optic is making a push here onto Tunican and Kickstart, who have taken refuge in the third and final floor of this building, both camping on opposite sides. There could be a really big pinch if they get too aggressive here. There's a huge kill potential with these angles that are being held by Tunican.
So Hypoc taking some shots in the back, as does Hetror. They turn on him, taking down Tunican, Now it looks like Kickstart is nowhere near to support iMossy and CeeLo being across at this school area. So that is going to be it there for those two players. So it looks like Ignite is going to have only two players moving into this game. Kickstart taken down there. It looks like they messed up their flank there. They did have their backs to them, maybe a little bit of desync played in there, but looks like Optic is going to win this second or third trade at the apartment building. MLGB close by as well.
Meanwhile, looking like Noble is as well able to retreat from Watertown further west into the ruins for themselves. And looking around the map, it looks like that's a lot of our early game spice that is currently pretty much finished up. A lot of these more notable areas are finally down to just one squad in them. They will be able to get themselves kitted and at least be able to take a fight later on. Question is, though, is that where are they going to go into this zone? I have seen many zones like this one, Moses, turn up to be that Georgia Pool industrial crates area, and it doesn't get more awkward than that. There's a river that separates the two little landmasses. The crates themselves, while are very interesting, people hate being in them, so they always show up very late and usually die doing that. Depending on where the zone goes, we could have a very odd end game.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the one thing that I will say is that based on that plane path, like you mentioned before, a lot of teams going to have to transition to the Georgia Pool area, which does have a lot of buildings, but even then, getting into that area can be very difficult. We see here Alo listening to this vehicle approaching here. Alo does have the AK, or sorry, that might be is it an AK or a
A
Tommy gun? I can't
rifle.
tell. Yeah, it's a rifle of some kind. It is oh no, it's an M16. Well, swing and a miss. So he's going to put a lot of pressure here onto
Ooh.
the onto Ignite here. CeeLo going down, immediately murdering him. Mossy making it through, so that's an easy kill. And even further issues for Ignite here, as they are going to be one man up going into this very early game. As Mossy gets closer to Noble, Noble themselves also under a bit of pressure here, looking like they have a random death there. I'm not sure who they've managed to find. And it looks like K-Mine has found himself a crate.
Nice. Always going to be finding little bits of early game loot injection, whether it be a crate or a person that is showing up to get themselves killed on your gun. Looking over here, though, we have Kamen, who's now sporting the 3-3 armor along with a Groza that will definitely be a player to be looking at if he ever crashes a building or some such. Meanwhile, iMossy still continuing to have troubles trying to get this vehicle to safety. Will actually be forced to drive into the river on the very first circle. He's just pinched by too many angles, and that was actually a very smart play. We can see just to his northeast a squad holding the compound just right next door to him. If he goes across that bridge, he dies every single time. He survived for now, but now he has to deal with the rest of the game as he just drove his car into the river in the first circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately that you have to play that way, but it looks like Ghost here under pressure. Profi trying to protect Austin. Austin being down by C9. Moody pressing here. Solid at the shack. Moody at the adjacent shack. Profi holding an angle here. Moody trying to get a first aid kit off here. A terrific outfit on Moody, if I do say so myself. He is now shooting at
uh,
Profi. It looks like Austin is not going to be able to survive this. Solid finishing him. So Profi just having to use the buggy to escape here. It looks like Moody did take a shot to the head. So another tough start for Ghost as the early game woes of some of our top teams still, ongoing here.
they're dying a lot in these early rotations, which is very interesting. I think that these early rotation casualties are due to teams not really being, not knowing how to play them safe. But oh, right now, these players dismounting from their UAZ, pseudo building crash going on here as Menthol is spotted venerated on the east side of this compound. Venerated alone here, and he knows it. He needs to get out of here right now, which is exactly what he will do. The dots have not the speeds and quick getaways, but getting some deja vu here as Venerated just sends his car careening into the bay.
Yeah, I think that might have just been a defensive play. I don't see, Caden and Check Shooter and Jesse Lowe all still up. So I think this
They're in
is
the
just
crates, vertical
I think
crates.
I think that was just a defensive maneuver, opting not to try to cross the bridge. We are now coming to Pecadores here,
Uh,
who unfortunately just lost Smurf. Smurf tumbling out of that vehicle. Matthew finishing him off. So it looks like H Win is going to continue here on his own. I'm not seeing the rest of his squad. I believe they are still up. D-Master injured, far away. Looks like he's going to try and get over towards I'm not sure if he's driving away from his team or going to his team. But H-Win looks like he's just scouting currently, maybe stopping to listen to some gunshots here as Yusuf and company are also engaged with D-Master. So I'm not sure what Pecadorus is going to do here, but D-Master is caught out by himself.
His plan at the moment is probably to simply drive away from the bullets and think about the rest later. That being said, D-Master Pecadorus has been left a little bit in the lurch here. Looks like, though, these players aren't too interested in pushing his building if they even know he is there. They are mounting up in their vehicles and are going to be pressing onward. Meanwhile, the center of the zone looking a little bit spicy right now. A lot of the compounds that are a little bit away from Georgia Pool itself are already finding themselves to be full of players, mostly full of squads. Actually, no one really spread out here too much. And if the previous games have been any indication, then we would know, Moses, that is a pretty good play if they're allowed to stay there.
Yeah, absolutely. H-Win bandaging here. I think he's getting pressure from MLGB potentially up the house, up at the house here above him. I'm not sure what Pacadorus's game plan is right now. I think they're just in a situation where they might have lost one of their vehicles. So D-Master caught out by himself, Vexel driving around as well. So we see our Optic driving right past Profi. Profi trying to stop
Oh,
Profi, almost dismounting and taking out Baja Waka there, who just had the hill cover. Any other situation, I think Baja Waka is in a ton of trouble there. So Profi now moving down a little bit more south. He's now about to run right into Rectify. Meanwhile, we see Duel here also getting relatively close to MLGB. A lot of transitions occurring right now as people are
mhm.
trying to find the best possible compound to hang out for the next zone.
And so I'm seeing a lot as well as they're driving past these empty, unoccupied compounds that they're not great, but you are allowed to just sit there, you know. So I almost wonder if these NA players are being a little bit too greedy and they're driving around a little bit too much. We've seen pretty much every single person that has died this game, Moses, has gotten shot out of a car, or at least that we've seen. So I'm almost wondering if maybe that's a problem. Either way, though, the first circle is finishing up its shrink, and we'll soon, in about 30 seconds or so, we'll be figuring out if the early centers will be rewarded for their trouble.
Yeah, and really centering in this situation is very common and this is a
Mhm.
relatively standard circle. Aside from the fact that we do see that river moving across the middle of the map, there, it's a situation in which you would imagine that players don't want to get to the water too quickly, but that is just a lingering option, especially for guys that are losing teammates early to those vehicle transitions, like you mentioned. So Profi here, I think, inclined just to hang out. I believe he still has one or two team members remaining. They are not together, however. I do not see the rest. There comes McCoy +1, so that'll be at least three for Ghost. And we'll see what this next circle looks like. Is it's going to dictate a lot of the next mid game.
Yep, there's the shrink. A lot of players actually moving in before that right now because they know they're not in position either way. It will be favoring the south side, sort of that Gatka Fields ruin area. Luckily, not going to be seeing a game in the Georgia Pool Bay area, but there still is quite a bit of water in play as that water near ruins is still around. 72 alive though. We only had 8 die there in that first circle. And right now, if you didn't find a compound, then I really hope you have a plan too. Because right now, Envy is actually crashing the center of this second circle. A very good plan to actually unoccupied. A couple of teams looking like they might be doing something similar. Luckily, Wooly coming in from the south side will be stopping a little bit short, finding their own compound that is not quite as censored, but arguably more defendable.
Yeah, D Master and company
Oh,
right
it's
on top.
occupied though.
Vexel, Vexel actually getting down here. D Master taking down and finishing Wooly. K-Mine taking down Vestal. D Master again having to clutch for his team here. Peeking wide, unfortunately, and unable to connect that dot there. He is taken down by Penta LOL. So that's Pecadorus had a good first couple of games. Now H-Win, the only remaining member of that team, and now he's going to have to play fairly defensively as well as we see Optic entering the water here as well. I think just crossing, I don't know
Man.
what the game plan is going to be for them. They're looking probably to get a cross to that little compound that they see, but a beautiful death and company have arrived a little bit before them. Noble occupying that area as well, and Juicy and Rectify in that building. So it's going to be a tough landing here for
Uh,
Optic.
and Noble as well to their southeast. I was actively engaging them before they drove into the water. Noble has a very good idea of where they're at. Optic, they might just have to play in the water for a bit. If they try to go out on land, they're gonna have a huge amount of trouble. Meanwhile, a lot of cars still driving around the center of the circle near the ruins area. Looks like these other yellows will be grabbed by the fellows over on Team 19. They will be pretty happy with this as far as the positioning goes in the zone, but not a great spot, those yellows. They're pretty easy to crash.
Yeah, definitely. I can't see Optic making landfall here in any conceivable way that was gonna be positive for them unless the next zone kind of gives them a bit of leeway here. But we see here MLGB also transitioning. Most teams heading south. I would imagine that most teams would like to be across the river. That way they're kind of banking on the fact that the zone will be in their favor in the next transition. But you never know. MLGB now getting a very powerful compound here in the mid
Oh, yeah.
game.
This is a very great spot to be. It covers a lot of terrain, very hard to push as well, a lot of open ground around it. Those fellows that are deciding to stay on the north side, though, are taking a huge gamble. They're playing edge. They're taking the bet that hoping a lot of other players will have crossed by now. But hey, if you're still over here, then you have yourself an AUM and level 3 helmet to be getting, as well as uncontested territory. Sadly, it looks like the guy that showed up already had a level 3 helmet. Hopefully, he calls that out for his squad. Definitely worth their time to go back for that. But we're seeing right now, especially on the west side, Totality as well as the Solid Facing Squad getting to the south side of the island, and right now on the north side, Reum trying to engage over to his east those players that are currently in this small shack, which has a name that I shall not repeat, but they will be able to get down over there and further consolidate their position here on the north side of the river.
And there are a few powerhouse teams here. Totality are winners from last game, sneaking in just on the north end of Georgia Pool. C9 as well. Looks like they're going to be coming in behind Ghost Gaming, or at least the remnants of Ghost Gaming on the top of the mountain there. So Totality transitioning now across the bridge, all with their own vehicles. So this will be a late break to this zone as a little bit of bug. It's not actually looking like that. They are just crossing normally.
I think that was
These
actually a bump, actually.
I'm
I
not
think they actually bumped into him.
potentially. Regardless, they're
Uh,
late to the zone here, taking a little bit of tick damage. But right now we will see another transition here. So I'm going to assume. Oh, it looks like actually we're
oh,
just moving over here to LG, who's in the middle of a fist fight here with TLC. Drassel having to try and cover for his down teammate Painkiller. They are in these buildings here, jumping around. It looks like this motorcycle is a little bit bugged out. Havoc trying to jump through the
uh,
fence. Just
defense doesn't exist. The bike crashed the fence.
right, yes. So
Probably.
Havoc on the exterior, Drassel pushing wide here, spots him out and takes him down. Havoc moving a little recklessly there, but Ashton is still there as well. Ashton with LG, so I'm not sure if there's another teammate to support there, but looks like LG's had that fight in hand fairly easily.
MLGB feeling really good with their spot in the new zone. It has shown itself to be on the southeast side, keeping the ruins essentially in dead center. A couple of teams making their way in. This is a very popular spot. Actually, hopefully that wasn't he wasn't bumping his teammate there a little bit. But a couple of other groups that are driving by, realizing they're a little bit too late, will be trying to retreat further to the southeast. But having the prone behind his car, the Dacia is not exactly a vehicle that can make speedy escapes. Znark,
Here comes the nade.
it's a matter of time, buddy. That nade just bursting right in front of his Dacia has to cover again, though he'll eventually be going down in terrain like that, in a situation like that. There really is no escape. Snark going
So
down.
Noble actually Godspeed downed him, and it looked like he was going to steal that kill, but luckily
Oh,
Fignaldo was able to retain it. So Caden and the rest of Envious trying now to get to the church building here. Venerated already arrived. Caden pulling the motorcycle in, actually taking a couple of shots there, very close in quarters with an enemy. Looks like Noble firing at him from just across the way. So Envious still under pressure. It looks like Optic is not going to be able to get out of this water. So Optic limping through yet another game here, trying to figure out a way to make some headway. But right now, it looks like they're going to be stuck in the water unless they try to get a flank onto Noble up here on this high ground.
this is really rough for Optic. They even won their initial fight too, right? But they're still having problems with the game. You know, more vehicles trying to crash into the ruins will not be having an easy time of it. One more group just going on down. All the edges of the ruins are being held, at least the good spots, the south and north side, which are just able to put so much pressure onto players that are trying to come in cars. Meanwhile, more and more vehicles trying to go in with these late rotations. Trying to get out of the UAZ, trying to get to cover. He's currently getting shot at from his east. The shrink is coming, so he can't stay here. He's got to take someone with him, or at least that's the plan. But it's going to be very, very difficult when he's alone with no cover besides this UAZ in front of him.
Menthol actually transitioning here in his UAZ, had a tire popped and is now only a few shots from death as Wolf lands the downing shot there. Menthol wide out in the open. Wolf trying to finish and does. So that's it for Menthol. He did have decent gear, so unfortunate for him. Totality now also heading into the water, unfortunately having to dive off the bridge there, receiving pressure from Rectify and other teams in that area. So all of Totality entering the water here. Not sure if that was, again, a defensive ploy or just looking for position here, taking the middle of the zone, well, fairly close to the middle of the zone on that island, but now finding themselves also having to transition out of the water here.
Ever's looking a little bit spicy as well. A couple of teams are up here on this west side. Little big old rock separating these two sides, as they will to make their way in soon. Everest almost certainly not going to be in.
No, Drassel is just outside, but it looks like C9 has, you know, they'll all get in. I think Drassel is just trying to make sure that no one gets on top of them as
the big question is
kind of skirting into the zone.
Do they know each other are there? It looks like they're trying to scout out over this little hill right here, and I'm not sure if these two guys are aware of each other's presence. And with the new zone, they can't stay here. The little bit of a car for the north side is going to be had, but I
Drassel might spot him here. Drassel might spot him if he looks down. Yeah, he's going to spot him out here. Or I think he did. I'm not sure if we lost some of that in the spectate. But yeah, he's spotted him out here for sure. So he's seen that team. He's probably going to call up to his teammates. They're going to come up and maybe support. Looks like they're going to do just that. So we might see an LG versus C9 fight break out here shortly, as LG is now coming to support Drassel.
And this really does have to happen. They need to cut out their side on the west side of the zone, because they have a lot more fights besides this one coming up ahead of them. And this is a very good way to take it, Moses. High ground, good advantage, good cover.
They've just jumped into their vehicles. They might have missed their window here. Frolicker and company just trying to pull out here, using the trees as cover. C9 should be able to evade this and get out of this danger spot here, or a danger zone, if you will. So it is it's a spot now where LG just barely missed their window to put a lot of damage onto C9, who are now going to have to use natural cover in this bowl area. So it looks like C9 has decent composure when actually escaping fights and knows where to go on the map, as they're coming to a bit of a party here with Sixmo and company just holding this yellow building here.
19 teams still alive, only one wipe. They've gotten this far. There's been quite a bit of hardships for a lot of our players, as we've seen throughout this game, but still only one group has been wiped. Only one group has been completely eliminated. They still have a lot more they have to do to make their way into this game. The shrink is now starting, and MLGB, one of the groups that has been sitting in these two-story compounds for the entire game, will now be forced to leave into a meat grinder. They still have players to their southwest. They're running into a squad as well, not covering their back well enough to know that there's solos and duos running up behind them. MLGB might be in a really rough spot here in a second.
Yeah, MLGB going to have pressure from two sides. Looks like H-Win, the last remaining member of Pecadores, is getting very close to. He will see Alo transitioning through the field here. 3 members right next to him, so he might have heard those footsteps and hit the deck. Theris is running right towards him. He's very, very close to him. H-Win in this bush here. He is probably going to hear Theris moving around. I can't imagine that H-Win does not hear him moving right now. H-Win opting to stay very still. A lot of players alive, has not figured out who's around him. But again, we see here Matthew and company moving closer as well. Now C9 is engaging again with LG. Bignaldo fighting with Ash and Rift as well. Looks like Set to Destroys in the middle of it. Rift goes down. Matthew taking him down here. So this little area in the map outside of Ruins is going to be very, very hot here. And H-Win staying perfectly still.
He might be one of the only ones to actually survive this one. There's many squads that are fighting over and around him. And as the shrink finishes, those players that are on the edge will force some fights, specifically with MLGB in their back, as well as these players to Hwin's current east. There's going to be a lot of problems coming out here for these players that might have sent it a little bit too early.
So we see here Duel engaging with MLGB. MLGB landing a down onto Penta LOL. Now the zone has arrived. K-Mine does have that Groza and the level 3 helmet. If there's any one group of items that will help him here, it's those two things. He's going to have to try and get a res here, although in a dangerous position. As soon as that circle finishes, No, it's not going to happen. I don't think so. When the circle finishes, it's going to tick him down. So he's going to go
Especially his
down.
down player. They're just going to bleed out. There's no
No,
way
he's
they can
not
do
going to make
this.
it. He's not going to make it. Like K-Mind is, I think maybe misplayed this a little bit. He's going to now be coming into an MLGB crew that has moved into the zone and has full advantage on him. I think he might have missed his window. The one factor, though, H-Win lurking nearby. As soon as those shots ring out, they're all looking away from him right now. They're all looking at K-Mind. They all know where he is. They have no idea that H-Win is right next to him. So when this pops off and H-Win decides he wants to play spoiler, that might help him out. But really, it's on MLGB to react here as we see a lot of water in this next zone as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of teams opting for the water strategy here again, unfortunately.
Something very interesting we just saw was actually Noble on the northwest side of the zone, moving out from this while going for a centering strat. Looking like a couple of these players are just made the win. Will be getting gunned down by our bigger squads. MLGB. Oh, are they going to see him? He's not looking. Oh, no! Win! Oh, he will be getting finished off. Just part of the MLGB rotation. I'm surprised they're able to retain as many players as they did up to this point, honestly.
And here comes C9 also transitioning through. Unfortunately, Frex downing him. So that was very impressive at the very least. So Fignaldo finishing him off. Solid FPS also going down. So disastrous rotate here from C9 as they have been taken down almost instantly. Solid FPS, Frolicker, Frex all going down. I did not see Moody did. He wanted no part of that. Moody did survive. He's right next to Envious, taking down Venerated. This is an open air engagement here. Now Caden looking to support and finish him off. So it looks like Venerated will get saved by Jesse AOL. So Envious actually in a very good position here. Noble also in a good spot. So we have Pecadorus, Duel both going down at the edge of the zone. K-Mind waiting just a little bit too long. And we see here Matthew, Scurry, and Snakers all in this hilled area just outside of Ruins. Trading here, MLGB coming in from the zone, and their previous fights now throwing nades to the best of their ability. That lands right next to Matthew. It looked like, oh no, landed a little bit short. Didn't bounce the way I thought it did, but they're in this bowl here. So depending on how MLGB wants to play this, it looks like they are going to put some pressure onto Matthew and Snakers and clear out this edge of the zone. If they can take this team out, they're going to have a lot of space to work with.
Yeah. And these hills are very good to both shoot and maneuver through. Whoever wins this battle, if they can clear this out, then they will be in a great spot for the rest of this game, as long as the zone doesn't go too far north. MLGB as well, looking like they actually want to take as much terrain as they can. They want to wrap around and eliminate this squad. But look at that, Squad 16, they just got a crate landing right to the northeast. If they can win this fight, they have a very hefty reward waiting for them.
If they do want to go out and grab it now, it looks like Steezy has gotten around the low side flank here, right on top of Scurry. Trading initially, Scurry peeking over it, using his advantage, and takes down Steezy. And now looking to trade here. Theris following up. Now MLGB has lost the high side flank. Biggie going down. Now Matthew's going to be shooting right down onto the remaining members of MLGB. Looking like a res is going off here, and it looks like he's trying to use that pressure to keep him away. Here comes a Molotov, a little bit short. Matthew taking down Theris. So now it looks like MLGB is on the ropes here. Matthew rotating around, looking to finish Theris, sees him there, spots him out, puts some shots down, but Steezy is able to take down Matthew. So MLGB is barely going to hang on with 3 players remaining.
A key mistake we saw from the Hooligans was trying to finish off a down player instead of looking for new targets. The initial engagement, they might have been able to actually get to cover or maybe at least damage someone else from MLGB, but that low flank push, him going down the way he did, trying to secure a kill on a down player, was just... definitely got him killed, lost the low side flank, and then the MLGB was able to push on in. That being said, this new zone, I have not seen something quite as memey as this, Moses. Half bits of water this late in the game, and there isn't really much cover on land. Very rough to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. There now, it looks like Envious has a decent position here. Bahawak and the rest of Optic, I think it's I didn't see who was with him there. They're still trying to deal with this, but Envious is still 4 up, rotating to the high ground. They will have a little bit of land to work with in the new zone, but Ghost has already occupied that area. We see here BTV with set to destroy, now trading here with Noble. Noble very, very injured. Blues 2 is flanking out. Now EDAC is the only one remaining. He is very, very low. He doesn't have a helmet or anything like that, and he's going to get pressed out and finished here, as it looks like set to destroy is going to take down Noble entirely. Now, Envious is getting very, very close to Ghost Gaming on the coast here, taking a very important part of this map right now. I don't think they're going to need to press over with Profi in the water and McCoy on the coast.
I almost wonder, Noble used to be on this high ground position. They could have easily transitioned this current coastline we see now, but instead they went for a center position that was very, very hard to defend, very awkward. That being said, a lot of these swimmers actually, Moses, have actually found themselves on land. So the players don't like it any more than we do, I suppose. Only about one squad left. But now, though, the squad that ousted Noble actually getting eliminated by MLGB, who has used the hills to manage to get right up next to these groups that are in this small rounded compound. A frag grenade going around the side. Almost gets that player behind, but look at their armor. I think that was no helmet. And that one play we just saw, MLGB could have a very good push on their hand should they decide to take it. Only one player left.
And you didn't notice there, but it looks like Envious is also engaged here. MLGB actually stealing that kill from Venerated. Set to destroy now on the ropes here as well. MLGB pressing wide. And
nice.
Very, very aggressive Alo finishing that engagement with decisiveness as the circle begins to close. MLGB now in the zone. Envious also engaging, looks like with Ghost. They are hearing those shots. Ghost pressing on top of them. Totality also engaged here. We do see Twisted Sin. They're just kind of trying to vie for position in this little area here. Twisted Sin just outside of Watertown, across from Gale Force Esports, who has 3 players down. So it looks like Undercover Pie playing at the medic right now. And Envious now rotating backwards, looking to run directly into MLGB, who's just inside this little bowl area. I don't know how they're going to come through this. It looks like they're going to have to peek wide right around them. The footsteps will have been heard by now. They're getting ready, peeking that corner. They do a double peek. Caden jumps out. Excellent double peek there, taking down Alo. Now Thera's trying to support as well. Again, another excellent double peek, but it looks like they're they're getting flanked here by Steezy, who is placed a little bit behind them. Caden now all confused, Envious on the ropes. Venerated going down. Caden confused, unsure as to where those shots are coming from. So Steezy BB, for some reason behind his teammate, maybe placed there intentionally, almost wipes Envy in one fell swoop there. I think Caden is the only one left.
I think that 13 players have died in that small compound, Moses. I'm pretty sure we saw 3 full squad wipes and a couple of our solos that trying to push that very, very bloody spot. If any lessons learned from this, do not hold there if you have a choice here. Meanwhile, though, the water is being pushed out. Caden, we just showed up just in time to see his ragdoll flop right in front of the camera. Well, these water boys are forced to come out, though.
Steezy just wiped Envious all by himself. Like MLGB was on the ropes there, but Steezy was off behind him. I'm not sure if he was there intentionally or not. I'm sure he'll say he was, but no, Totality's fishing with dynamite right now. Rectify, Juicy right there, Imossi right there. Here comes a nade right near Totality. I think it landed a little bit wide. Nade's being traded now. That looked like a good bounce, landed right in Juicy's face, and he's taken down by Imossi, Nop Nop, and now Nop Nop has seen Imossi. So I'm thinking that Totality's in another good spot here. That nade bouncing true right on top of Totality. Did not take down Purdy. Luckily, I think the terrain might have saved him there. So right now, Totality looks like to be the lone survivor of the water, with Imossi holding the edge with MLGB, I believe, one of the last remaining teams.
A lot of the players in the water actually retreated toward that Watertown fight, of which only one squad actually left as a survivor. So now the zone has essentially shown its true colors right here. There's 4 squads left, 7 alive. Do we even have a full squad left? Totality has 3, but they're in a bit of an awkward spot. Imossi holding one of the better spots tactically, but he's on his own.
Twisted Sin has 1 or 2 left as well. So it's MLGB, Imossi, 2 on Twisted Sin, and Totality. Totality, I think, has the dominant position here. They can press towards Imossi and use these rocks. Twisted Sin and MLGB, or sorry, Steezy BB are going to have to use this open area to traverse. So it's going to be very difficult for them to convert here. I'm imagining that it's going to be a trade between these two teams, as there's nothing for them to do. Totality now pressing on Imossi's position, knowing he's up there.
Good.
Imossi shooting down onto Totality, using those rocks, rotating now around. So downing Smithy already. Nop Nop having to come around as well. So it looks like Imossi is just kind of kiting them right now as the nade comes across right on top of him. Ooh, very close, very close. So nothing there for Imossi to deal with. But he's got his back to the zone right now, which is also dangerous. Rotating now. Purdy hears those footsteps. It looks like they're going to try and get a res here. Very important to land that res seal.
Yeah, if they can get this res off and they can control this, Totality will be in a great spot. And Mossy is still taking this fight a little bit too slowly, as you said. But on the southeast side, rather than shooting Mossy in the back, they're actually fighting each other right now, Moses. Looks like one down coming out from that one. Not sure who actually got that one. But
That was
Mossy, the longer he
Totality.
stays here, the
Yeah.
more in trouble he is.
Yeah, oh, actually, Steezy just stole that from Totality. So now it's one Twisted
Oh,
Sin. I'm Aussie now on now to take it out. So now this is Totality's game to lose.
yeah.
Twisted Sin taking down Steezy BB, and that is it. Totality takes another win back to back in these last two games. Totality coming on very strong with 10 kills. Twisted Sin landing a second place. MLGB landing a ton of kills, most of which was envious. And yeah, we see again CeeLo Green and Ignite and Rectify rounding out the top 5.
That was a really interesting endgame as well. The only reason, for example, that Imasi was able to be positioning himself as he did was due to one person walking away from Watertown and like 2 or 3 walking away from that fight near the end of the game near the Southern Hills where MLGB was. We didn't get to see that, but there were no full squads besides the 3 of Totality. A very, very sparse endgame, which does not happen much in these competitive environments, Moses.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, these circles are very difficult to deal with. A couple of tough ones here tonight, but
Mm-hmm.
that one being, I think, the most intense as far as options are concerned. Very little. We've seen a few of those kind of ending around the Trident area with the little island in the middle, but ultimately, really how you manage their team fights. The water did play a factor here. Again, Totality coming out on top because of that. But realistically, it's one of those situations where you just have to manage the same things you always have to deal with, which is positioning and movement. And Totality did that the best. We saw how one misplaced player can absolutely ruin your chances at a win. Envious finishing outside of the top 5. C9 as well having a rough game, and Pecadores coming in just below them. So really, Steezy BB, I think, was probably the hero of this game for his team, taking out almost. I think he did end up wiping Envious all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So at the chagrin of Theris and Alo, who were left to die as either bait or just circumstance. But otherwise, excellent showing from all these teams tonight.
I would like to see how many people died in that little bold compound. But that was it from us today here at the Auzom Premier League. Thank you for sticking with us for all 4 games. It was definitely a heck of a journey. We'll have more games come to you guys later on into the season. But for today, for now, that is all we've got. Thank you guys so much for viewing. I have been a Little Fuzzy Seal, joined by Moses on mic and by Skyline on the cameras. Have a wonderful night, everyone.